And we have returned. We're finally on to our fourth match of the night, an hour behind schedule, but of course, who doesn't love OSL scheduling? Me and Hunter do, for sure. We love being here until 5 in the morning, don't we, my friend? But what do we have to keep us here? We do have Ghoul, of course, which we're loading into right now. This is Scouts' favorite set. They've picked it every single week. L5D, the man on a mission, trying to 4K every single time he loads in, and wow, that's brutal. Look at that ping. He's on the same ping as the survivors. We'll get to that in just a second because I do want to talk about the rest of the sets. Of course, Ghoul, Suffer 1, Blight, same place, still here. Gonna be here all night because what we got for the third set, Demogorgon, Cold Tower 1, close enough, but you know, we might as well act like we're staying in the same place. Macmillan is the home of the night, and for L5D, I think that is ideal. They do seem to love Blight and Ghoul. It's the two most played sets for the team, and yeah, what are they playing on once again? A lot of ping. It's definitely something we got to talk about, Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. And I have clarification, obviously, being from OCE. This team had the luxury of either picking Singapore servers to play on or Mumbai servers to be playing on, given the fact that the survivors will be on significantly less ping and it'll be much more manageable around the pallets. It comes at the cost of being hit through wacky on the side of your killer. However, it can be a test to see if this method is actually a lot better than the madness shows. But you know, obviously a little bit more consistent, we would think, just being on Mumbai. Regardless, this is the way these boys have chosen to play it, and it has been accepted by the native Mumbai players, which, might I add, it's not going to be India Mumbai to the point where it's 40 MS onto a onto Mumbai, and then, like, you know, 200 and 250 or potentially 300 for the survivors. It's going to be more like 60 or 80 MS on Mumbai, and then the same for the survivors, and we try to meet them halfway. It's 1 hour 120 for the killer and like 120 90 for the survivors. Yeah. See, it's all pretty much even amongst this area, so we'll see how it really plays out. Seems to be all in the clear at the moment. Haven't seen anything too wacky. That's just Bravo just vaulting into the loving embrace of L5D. He's going to be using the turn back the clock value over towards 7, now traversing back to the map here over towards 10. This is going to be the unhook right before his eyes, and it's going to be Saki in hot pursuit with Bravo, trying to keep him alive. He does only have this pallet on the outside of main to be working with, and is trying to greet it very nicely, but ultimately, L5D keeping him there, trying to go for a nasty hit through the pallet. Does not work out in his favor, so we've made away with the distance that we have been allocated. All in the meantime, L5D trying to just vault through that window there, does so successfully, follows up the chase, vaulting the pallet again once more, and again, running it around main for the second time around. Bravo really putting on the jets. Does have to last here, as he does need to back up for the first chase, and that's going to be Halo doing the generator over in the background. That gets done imminently, and now really trying to bait out this pallet drop here, and Bravo's played very patiently to do so. Does do so in great fashion, but where does he go from here? I do not know, because we're going for an ambitious swing there, and I think that was a little too far-fetched. We are going to be still playing around the rocks here, and just really following up with the M1s. Bloodlust 2 in hand, and that's going to be a hit over the pallet in any regard, in any server, in any ping. You are not making that, my friend, but he is going to be hooked after that, straight after. Micah's generator pretty close to being done as well, but we're going to have turn back the clock back in our back pocket again, but we do not make the generator in time. This will be the hook on the backside of main here, and if we look at our splits, we eventually will want to flip the map at some point, because it's looking pretty grim here over at the top side, and Saki's just been here all along, not really working any generator, just waiting for the down, playing preemptive on the pull here. Not the worst idea. If you're going to pull Bravo now, he needs to last off of the hook, because if he doesn't, it's problems. But we do have the FDP to kind of facilitate that, so it's going to allow him just to last a little bit longer. And we spotted Bravo out again, so that's an injure onto Saki for not really any good reason. It's going to be a Kagune tag even onto Bravo, so we're enraged, and we're going to be able to cut him off from the midsection of the map. Following up, it does allow him to make a better death location nonetheless, and he just has to play for his life. But what does he do from here on out after vaulting the window? Does have mid to be working with, and we're playing the mind games here on the long side of the wall. L5D really trying to bait out some sort of a pallet drop, but a little too smart for him is Bravo. He's going to be faking the window there, and ultimately does catch up with him in the end. He's going down in mid. It doesn't really matter because he's death hook anyway. This is our tunnel out solidified at 3 generators remaining.
Yeah, Hunter, I really quickly want to point out that that was L5D's first Kagune tag of the entire game, and Something I find very curious about that is obviously the ping makes it very, very difficult to use your power. We've seen L5D not at his best when it comes to being able to slingshot and zip around. Actually, slingshotting is entirely impossible on this much ping. You literally cannot do it. You can't do it over 50 ms, so yeah, he's definitely at a huge disadvantage mechanically. You just are playing a different killer at this point, and yeah, we've seen him miss a lot of bites. He's kind of had to accept the fact that he's using it purely as a traversal tool, and he's going to have to take those M1 tags. But right now, the problem that we are seeing, of course, is that L5D getting that enrage is completely unable to do anything with it off the back of this. He's just going to have to sit and wait. We find some scratch marks at 8. We're going to get the grab onto Saki. That will re-up our enrage, but because of the ping, once again, we're so delayed in that, and Saki's managed to get around the corner. So, right now, no tag yet. We're going to try and bound through this pallet, but we instead will opt the swing. Saki wins the stun despite the ping, and that's honestly exactly what you need. Micah now eating that Kagune tag bottom mid on his gen. We've decided to leave it though. We're going to opt to head to 3, thinking the gen is still being progressed by Halo, who probably was here mere moments ago, but his stealth is good enough. He isn't going to get found out on top of this gen, which is pumping, by the way. So, right now, situation is looking decent for our survivors. Splitting the gens if we are able to pop this one at 3, 2 top, 1 bottom. Exactly what you need in this situation, but I think Micah has gotten an eternal skill check and unfortunately has regressed the gen a little bit through his pre-leaves. But now, actually, this is Saki who has been found out bottom mid. The bound will come out. We will get the tag onto him, and back to 3 we will go. We need to make sure this gen doesn't pop. L5D will play very, very defensive, and the scratch marks at least do give us the suggestion of where Halo might be. We spotted him out at 3. He's gotten the stun. That will give him some distance, and we're going to play around the shorter walls of this 4 lane to prevent a tag, but unfortunately bolting right into our killer. That will be our 3rd bite of the match, and all of our survivors now injured need to be so careful. L5D, I might have talked about him being not mechanically at his best because of the ping, but he's still just as mobile as ever. The ghoul will not slow down, and we're going to see him try to get around Shaq now. Unfortunately, we can't cut him off in time. That was a beautiful bound, though, to get inside. I've never seen that before. That is, wow, really impressive from L5D, but unfortunately, Saki able to make safety at 6. He wins 150, Hunter, and I'm going to let you tell us about the rest of this chase.
Yep. And Saki is just taking on a chase around this corner 5 section here. He's just going to be going down. That's going to be the slug coming in as well. So it's going to intercept all the generators. And if we can potentially get it down over at the top section of the map, it could prove to be troublesome. But we've opted to go for 8 to cut off the rotation after getting the down onto market there. That's going to be a nasty hit over the pallet. And all of a sudden, Halo caught at a loss. Where does he go from here on out? As we traverse back towards the likes of 3, maybe we can catch him out just before he pops the generator. No, he pops it for the 4K1. So very nice stuff coming in there from L5D to solidify a 4K1. Yeah, amongst the ghouls, this is really kind of the average per se. I mean, if you do look at, again, the stat we like to pull up here, 4K1, yeah, is smack bang on the tournament average, 10 stages at the expected result. So regardless of the fact that we're on ping, we still did very good in that regard. And I feel like at the beginning, as to oppose of just it being a ping factor, it was just more so the position that he found himself in, just having to play the mind games around a long rock. You can slingshot around it, I guess, but like the guy's already injured. You just got to play around the mind games and eventually get the down. And that's what happened over towards corner 11 at least. And you did grab the survivor over, like the first survivor in chase, I do believe it was Bravo. You grabbed him off of the pallet in the first chase. It was just no real reason to use your power then and there. And you did get a few nice tags more towards the late game. However, we are forever in search of Saki, and he has just crawled off into the corner of 5. So this will be his ultimate demise on the hook here for the next game to come around once more. But with that being said, what I think we're going to do is go into a quick and short intermission after this game is done so we can set up the next half of the set.
And we are back with the second half of our ghoul set. It's going to be a 4K1 tie condition. That means Bravo will need to get a 4K1 or better to take the result in favor of Flatline. And of course, our survivors are on 400 ping. Oh my, oh me, oh my. Exit lag. What exit lag does to a man. But no, of course, these survivors will need to pop 5 generators to be able to get a win in their pick. And already you can't assume things will be in their favor. That Tory, oh boy, they're not going to get to play much of the game, but Bravo is going to be doing the damnedest he can to be able to find them out as soon as possible. I think it's going to be the plan to not get that survivor found at all, because Macro, our most aggressive survivor, spotted out here at 8, will be taking the first Kagune mark. And Bravo, a very low ping player, under 20 MS, he of course will be able to do what L5D was unable to in the last trial. All the techs, the usual things you see from a Ghoul in his arsenal. Fortunately, there you go. First slingshot of the match, and a vault over the pallet. Macro is going to get the vault back just in time. That looked so delayed with the ping. That was getting on my nerves, but pallet 6 now will be broken as we zone our survivor back to Shack. This window here might get blocked by this bound. It will in time, but unfortunately Macro has the pallet to make him safe. And that is a pretty decent start to our chase. Considering the ping hunter, we've managed to get 2 safe resources, which will keep us in the game. Now, not enough time and not enough distance to make it towards 5. That's Macro on the ground to end our first chase and put things in Bravo's favor.
Yep, and now going to be taking this hook here over towards corner 5. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here on out, you know, with obviously the likes of Turn Back the Clock and still Pain Resonance to his disposal. He has a lot of regression here, but obviously want to be utilizing that Turn Back the Clock on one of these generators that has been far dispersed over at the top side of the map here. It's going to be our Jake Park Sultan in chase right off the rip. Going to be getting marked with the Kagune tag and just forced down back into the bottom portion of the map. Still trying to break that early 3-gen over at top. So we're going to be taking this kick here with Eruption as opposed to using Turn Back the Clock, where we're going to take our tentacles towards 10 and potentially catch out anybody working this area. But no, there's nobody still here. We are just going to be breaking it again with Eruption. Still no Turn Back the Clock value, and that is fine. We can just kind of let it dissipate because it's not really a priority at this stage. You want to get in your Eruption kicks, try to get your downs in nice and early, especially amongst this portion, this side of the map, and see what you can really back up after doing so. Now, we do manage to find our 300, 400 ping survivor, Tory Kane, just getting marked in the edge map there and forced to use the pallets on the outside of main. Gonna have to send this vault very early on, and yeah, it's a nice looking vault considering the fact that we are on egregious ping, but gonna be latched onto there with the tentacles happening around. They're going to be preemptively dropping that pallet, playing around the main building, and all of a sudden, maybe being able to even make the window there. My God, this man's a demon. Hang on a second, the 400 ping warrior does even greet the pallet even more. It goes down to 1. He's playing for his life right now, not throwing a damn thing. He don't care, man. He's just gonna go down to the pallet after getting the stun there. And oh, it's ugly. It's horrible. He's on the floor, gonna be chasing the Jake around next time around, and that's going to be another Kagune tag onto Sultan, and he doesn't really have anywhere to go but main. He has to kind of leg it and send it and hopefully create enough distance between him and the killer. We've even left the 400 ping survivor on the floor, and we're going to facilitate for the tunnel out here onto, oh, not the tunnel out realistically, just the down onto Sultan, but he does not make the pallet over at main. There's going to be 2 survivors on the floor over towards the upper half of the map. There's going to be the first generator in the background, done and dusted. It could have been quite a blunder to actually play around that pallet when we had a survivor so close to it, regardless of the fact that if you are on 400 ping. But it is what it is. We do hook Sultan in front of everything there. He's going to be unhooked preemptively. That fast pull actually did need to happen. That could have been really bad if we left him to cook there, but I'm glad we sacrificed our gen pressure just for a little bit as we do take the next chase back onto Sultan. He does have the likes of the window. Does he have light to make with some extra distance? He does not. No, I do apologize. Sorry. Does fake the window again once more. Bravo, getting a little bit antsy with the swings. Can we send it and make it off into 8? We got a body for it. In comes in the body coming in from Captain Macro. Lovely stuff. Does run into the wall there for a little bit of a split second, but all of a sudden our survivor's back in the trial. Nice and healthy on the side of 400 ping. Mr. Mastermind himself, but oh my God, getting a little bit ambitious with those swings through the pallet there. L5D being able to just run away from Bravo. He's going to be playing around the mind games here over at 1 and does find yes, the high ping survivor once more, really taking advantage of that and getting that tag over the pallet there. Bravo going to be following up after getting the tag, and we do have the likes of L5D ready for the buddy block, but everybody currently injured as it stands at the moment. Playing a little bit altruistic here will result in no progress on the map as per generators. Actually, I am lying to you considering the fact that we do have bottom mid ready to realistically pop within the next piston, so it's about 70% of the way, but Mill just going to be evading that chase there, so nice to be able to just escape freely. And now we're all of a sudden onto Sultan, who just takes chase around the middle of the map again once more into the active zone and does make the window potentially. Oh, no, he doesn't. That's ugly looking ping, and he's not even the highest ping survivor. Ew, and then we do kick the generator here, but this is going to be a pain resonance as well to slow the game down even more here, Chief.
Yeah, and Hunter, actually, oh yeah, it is a pain res. Sorry, I didn't even notice we hadn't used a single stack of pain res so far. This is our 4th hook of the trail we're dragging. It's a really greedy drag. If anyone's here, we could be off with a hit, and I'm not too sure if our survivors are going to be playing for it. This hook's also facing the wrong direction. This wiggle bar was damn close, let me tell you. But look at this 3-gen Hunter on the right side of the map. We have main 1 and 2. It's so gross, and obviously this gen at 10 is making it a 4-gen on the top side. And speaking of top side, L5D, an injured survivor at the back of main, and Macro at 8, playing to cross to the top side himself and make sure that we can get this unhook. But 3 survivors on the top side inside of this 4-gen, 2 of them going to be injured when Sultan is unhooked is definitely not ideal. Bravo's checking all the way around 1, just trying to find whoever was on this gen, but I don't think Bravo realized this progress is from when he got that initial down onto our Tory all the way back when, and of course now Macro, having crossed up the map, has gotten the unhook, and Tory, who I mentioned mere moments ago, is sitting pretty at 7, so we're going to try and continue this tunnel out onto Sultan. We do have the jungle still. We get the vault just in time. Bravo will swing and hit the BT. He's going to follow up with his bounds. Of course, no enrage to be able to buy us that extra distance, but the vault over the pallet does mean we'll get it in due time. Sultan's going to try and play the check spots. Bravo's playing patiently, but I think his tentacles might have been revealed, so Sultan has sent it around to the pallet, and we're going to try and cut him off. That's the bounce, connecting and blocking the pallet. The swing comes on out. We get in the locker. We get grabbed in the end. That was a very delayed grab, and that's Sultan exiting the trial. The 4-gen has not been broken. Mill has popped that gen bottom side, and right now this pain res will be interrupting yet another gen. And speaking of things getting interrupted, 10. Both of our survivors are here. Mill somehow getting grabbed. What is that? Regardless, 10 can now be kicked. We know one of our survivors is headed to the top side. I'm not too sure who it was, Hunter, but if they are found, 3v1, 3 injuries, this much ping involved, game could be ending very, very shortly.
Oh, yeah, it could. And we do manage to find out Macro does evade the tag nicely, gets the stun onto our killer there. He's going to have to play around the mind games and get the tag eventually. It's Bravo going to be getting that Kagune tag onto Macro eventually. And now he's just forced over into the middle of the map again once more. Does have the likes to turn back the clock. We have yet to see Bravo actually use it. I think he could have used it in the background there, but that's another generator procced in the background there. L5D, Mill, all both injured at this current time. Definitely would have preferred to have the 400 survivor ping player get actually out of the trial at this stage. Considering the fact that, you know, you have your best chasers, well, not your best chasers, but the ones that are more capable of chase throughout the 3v1 here. So be pretty hard to manage to pull from this the 4K1, especially with that highly progressed generator just being nerfed into the ground there after being hooked on top of the hook. But we still can fight for the 4K1. We have to last, yeah, at least our survivor has to last. L5D going to be vaulting into the main building, and Bravo is happy to take that tag and rotate back towards maybe in the middle of the map. No, and yeah, just sit the generator. Honestly, Mill just cannot afford to really go for the pull here. Well, I say that, and we've gone for the pull. That's going to allow Bravo to divert and potentially just down Mill in front of 10. So nothing to really be working with. Wait, we full sent it! Let's go! Just hold W! Don't even matter, just hold W, just hold W! This guy's a demon. That's absolutely crazy. Imagine this guy off of ping. What the? Wait, why have we put Bro on the dead hard at 400 MS?
No, that's content. That's actually incredible content. I imagine he hit it. Imagine he hit it. He nearly did. I mean, he did hit it. He actually, you know, with on our perspective, he pressed it in time and then dropped the. That's crazy. That's literally crazy. He pressed that on time on our screen. Of course, that means he pressed it about a second, like nearly 4 seconds too early. But like, wow, yeah, we dead hearted. The killer swung. We then dead hearted. We then dropped the pallet and then we died. And speaking of dying, L5D has unfortunately run into a coal pile and died next to a pallet. And if Macro isn't sitting the gen bottom mid, I think the game might be over. But Bravo is sitting on top of the hook still, being very, very careful. Macro is also here. So we're not going to pop that gen in time, but Bravo has allowed Macro to slip right under his nose. He's checking the gen now, but this does mean that Macro can get that pull for free. We're also out of enrage. Our third bound barely able to come out, but Slow Fat Chungus Bravo is back. We do not have our enrage. And Miller's off the hook. L5D still slugged, of course. Actually, not anymore. And Nakro now injured. The position has kind of been reset, of course. Still stuck on this top side, and things could get very dicey here on out. But it is doable yet again, Hunter. The foregone conclusion has been recovered.
It has done indeed. Bravo with the 1 dash, not the second. Oh my god, that was a horrible voice break and my voice is giving out. But we are going to be playing around the rock filler here, faking the 50, but ultimately getting caught macro in the end. L5D trying to make his rotation to the bottom half of the map, and I don't know how to feel about that because after the window, where do you go from here? That's a nice little mind game coming in from Bravo, but we've just kind of sent it off into the distance of main and vaulted the window again once more. Wow, these survivors just won't give up, will they? They're just playing absolutely incredible right now. Even baiting the window vault there, but ultimately leaving the pallet and just, again, making it over one time, but just going down. And Bravo, after getting that tag over the window, is sending it down the middle. No, Bravo, Bravo. Don't let go. It's, you know what, deserved. It is deserved for these guys. They're just, wow. And the game's not over yet. I mean, granted, if we escape with just... Oh, if L5D bleeds out, can we actually have the chase of all time where the 400 ping survivor goes on a wild goose chase and we risk the bleed out onto L5D? No, because he just stayed at the window. He was just playing for tie condition here, so we will be going to the tiebreaker no matter what.
We could hatch.
We could get hatch. Yes, no, this is true. We could get hatch. The game's not even over. There's 2 survivors up in the trial again, and the split, mean. Horrible. Terrible split.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Terrible.
It is rough.
Really bad. This not good team. And Mr. 400 MS has been found in the mid-map, and so has Macro, all the way edge 3. Just stealth them out at this point, my friend. Tori, you're just going to have to go sit in a corner and cry until your friends die. And no, we're sending it for the unhook. I respect this play. The killer isn't enraged, so we do actually have a fair bit of distance on him, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough. This was potentially a hatch play coming out if we were able to read into that as a tie condition, but there's the dead hard. You love to see it. Milt, and he's gone. He's gone. You know what?
He's gone.
We'll allow it. We'll allow
It's
it.
fine. No, this one's fine because there's no fresh hook. I mean, you probably no. You still should consult the referees as well. It is pretty bad to DC, but I mean, given the fact that it had no impact on the game, this will be waived. But what we'll do is we'll go into a quick and short intermission while we get these guys all hooked for you and then get the next game set up for you, which will be yes. Blight and Suffocation Pit 1. Some more Suffocation Pit 1 Blights. Okay, well, we'll have to see how that one goes. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. You might see something a little bit different, yes. As per rule set, we have decided to go for a deduction and a -1/2 a hook stage, which means that, yeah, Flatline took last set, so we have to stick to the rules. Initially, we were contemplating on waiving the rule set. However, our officials and the likes of all of us have all come down to the conclusion that should not be the case. We should actually just stick to, yes, honestly consistent method of what's been happening, and then yeah, go from there if anything needs to be re-revised in the rule set. However, we will be continuing on to this match here. Bravo going to be the man for the job on the Blight. It's going to be taking the chase onto L5D shortly after vaulting the pallet there and just forced into the shack building as well. Just going to be walking over there with our rushers already gone and just insta-breaking the shack pallet and zoning our survivor into the corner of 5. Going to be playing around the mind games towards the corners and just trying to really zone them towards the corners. And L5D playing around the chase really well, might I add. That's an ambitious flick coming in from Bravo, not quite connecting, and we all of a sudden using a really long loop that can prove to be problematic for the Blights. But we're going to be taking the break there off the pallet, as we did utilize 2 charges, so it doesn't really matter. We don't lose a whole lot, we lose microseconds if that. But again, trying to play around mind games here. Can we get flicky for it on the Twitter? No, and no sort of down to the season coming in this time around. We're going to go for an ambitious break on this pallet here instead of playing the mind games. I'm going to say ambitious, honestly. It probably needed to happen to try and zone the survivor into the corner. No real resources to be utilized on the bottom half of the map now since everything good has been gone, but we're going to be bumping into the wall. I'm really trying to get for this flick here from Zabravo on to our survivor L5D, who's now forced into the 8 section of the map. And 7, but ultimately we do go down. It's also important to note that if you want to DC in the match, also this is something that I forgot to clarify throughout my message and telling everybody that please notify a referee. Please notify the referee, and then we can permiss and waive the rule set. We cannot waive the rule set after it has been done. That was a big thing. That was a conversation being brought to light. However, we are going to be following up after hooking our survival for the first time around L5D. And again, like this, I think we might even be 3-splitting here because I'm flabbergasted that a generator hasn't popped at this point. We did manage to get the unhook happening from Mill onto L5D, but we're going to go straight back for our tunnel out and do so in fast, quick succession. That is going to be the tag onto L5D. We got it just in time, even with the 500 MS heals, but we are rotated back into the middle of the main building, bottom half of the map here. But ultimately, after pre-dropping the pallet and trying to get our life off, we were able to make absolutely nothing. And we'll be going on to a hook for a second time for the second stage, secured towards our killer here, Chief.
Yeah, we are off to a flying start for Bravo. 2 stages so far with only a single gen popped, but of course Macro's gen we can see at about 75% is pretty damn good. He's put himself in a good position to get a 4K, of course. The only thing that would prevent that is a good split of these gens, which I haven't gotten to get a look at just yet, but don't you see Mill just so close? This might be one of our saviors. Rotated, just found out, and arguably one of the worst spots. It is our Delhi player, of course, as we probably thought from the medkit, and the fact that he did play for that first unhook has Delhi already up and in hand. But yeah, right now, Bravo, of course, back in chase. Needing to play around, getting a tag here would be ideal. We're able to get that flick, and we do see Sultan rotating down for the unhook. This is problems for scouts right now. Actually, this is Macro as well. He's going to have his rotation cut off, and that does mean L5D in the basement. Oh, never mind. Sultan's here. Wow. That's unexpected. And you know what? I think Bravo might have been caught off guard himself. He's going to be able to swing right on out and hit L5D's BT. He's going to try and play for that tunnel out now. The mid-map will be at his disposal, but not too sure how far we'll make. This pallet will buy us some safety as Bravo will swing into it and it will be broken. But yeah, right now it's up to L5D to last in this chase.
Oh yeah, it is. And we're going to be trying to get the bounces in, trying to get a nice little flick in. Oh my word, that is going to be a nice one at that. That's going to be L5D on the ground. You do have in the background a double being slammed out and a single over at main. L5D off the hook with decisive strike in hand here. Now what can he do shortly after it? Nothing. He's going to be going down. No dead hard, no shenanigans like that. It's going to be him on the floor, picked up as a result of it, and Hook's just in the corner of 10. Now, Bravo, after doing this hook, he's going to be going on his rounds check amongst the generators in the far distance. So we are going to be pressing off here towards mid, but there's nobody there. The generator progress is all over at 5, and yes, main itself. And now it's all up to where does that killer go from here. He's opted to chase over at bottom, and it's on to Macro after shortly after popping that generator. And Bravo just trying to zone him off into 7. Doesn't really have much to go on here after he's been caught out in this position, but does manage to run around the rock a few times and potentially make it around to the pallet again. No, the flicks on Bravo are coming in just a little too hot now, as he did miss a few earlier on in the trial. He's not missing any right about now, and so if we look at the split at the moment, it's looking pretty rough. I mean, you do have bottom mid, and main. And I'm not too sure where that other generator is. I do believe it's over at probably 7, so just going to be taking our bounces back towards the main building. Sorry, it's been a long day. However, we did see that Mill had slow vaulted the window back into the likes of main, and would just force us to either break the door or go for the vault and then utilize our rushes. Now, can we win the stun on 400 MS? And I have been notified that this person is using exit lag, so it might actually be set up a little bit wrong, but that is on the team to fix, obviously. As we do pre-drop the pallet here on the outside of 11, we are going to be trying to play the mind games. Sacrifice 3 charges and just try to walk the survivor down, but do we have anything at 10 to be making? Maybe, and it might just save us. No, there's nothing there, and we've made main though, so we're going to be eating this tag here, and after vaulting the window shortly, that's going to allow us to just extend our chase a little bit longer, and the rushes just aren't going to help us underneath any capacity in that moment. So we do manage to find our Jake Park with Sprint Burst in hand, and that's going to be nerfed a little bit later on if you've been reading the DBD patch notes. You know, through 3 seconds to 2, it's kind of crazy, but you know, we're seeing it all in its glory, at least for the remaining days, where, you know, 3-second Sprint Burst is, you know, its prime. And it did delay the tag just a little bit. Mill on the floor with, plot twist, which did prompt eruption, which is why you heard that scream. I don't know if they knew that was the case. However, we are going to be following up the chase onto Macro. They're going to be eating a tag and just forced into the edge map of 6. Where do you go from here, buddy? There's not really much to be working with. You're just going to be going down, and oh me, oh my. Yeah, it just happens to the best of us, honestly, when there's nothing to be working with after the strong resources have been thrown at the very beginning of the game. There's just not really much you can do. Now, is Shaq the generator that hadn't been worked? Because I didn't pay attention to it, but I guess I'll be corrected in the end. As we do go back to the middle of the map here, Bravo are going to be taking these bounces, one towards bottom mid and then straight back to top mid. We do have a lot of progress over at main. Look at that generator. Absolutely pumping away. Bravo going to be taking the break onto this door inside of main, traversing on the outside again to catch off our guard. Our stealthing survivor, however, is pretty content with just taking his pop and eruption combo onto this gen, and sprint burst in hand is going to allow our Jake Park to make around the tiles very nicely. But oh, flare! Jeff's kiss, take a bow, Sultan. Keep on going, run for your life even. He does have the likes of this pallet held up to his advantage here. Now, what can he do with it? Not a whole lot. Not going to be able to flare that time. We're a little too fast. And Bravo going to spell that tag onto Sultan. Sultan running into the corner of 11, but is really just buying the time for his survivors to be working the generators over at the bottom section of the map. And potentially, they could just actually pop one just in time. No, they don't. It's about 50% of the way. I lied to you, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, we did have main very, very highly progressed, but of course it was popped just a moment ago, and our gens remaining in the trial are on the kind of this top mid gen isn't really, but I was going to say our gens are on the bottom side. At first I thought Hunter, and I was going to make a little funny remark, that they potentially could have been in a straight line when you suggested the fact that Shaq was the final generator, but no, it is this one at 7, which is now being kicked. Pop and eruption applied to stop all of its progress, and Bravo will now take the time to look around. We want to find out who was ever working this generator, and I do believe it is Macro. I'm not too sure if he would have rotated for the unhook so aggressively when he is Death Hook. Finding him in the mid-map could have spelt the end of the game, so I would assume he is still here. Mill having reset as well, if that was him on the top side. Sultan, healthy. So, our survivors have reset their position. We have 2 gens highly progressed. It's obviously going to be very, very difficult for them to secure outs in this 3v1, but I do suspect they'll be able to pop another gen, even if it is just this one at main, leaving them with that 3 gen on the sort of mid-bottom side, and that'll be all said and done after the fact. But no, very likely they are able to pop a gen. But, of course, concerningly for them is the fact that the longer they spend stealthing, not being found out, of course, beneficial to them, meaning Bravo cannot take a chase, and you can work one of those gens freely, but they've had to play quite slow. They had to reset their position. I'm sure that gen at main has regressed quite a bit, and of course it's probably still regressing if we haven't managed to rotate 4 at 7. Could have been touched once more, but does still seem to be about 70%. So Bravo will take some time to look. We hear a vault in Shaq. That was actually quite unfortunate for Mill. I'm not too sure he would have been spotted out at all if he didn't make that noise, but vaulting into the killer, 400 MS probably yet again, so I wouldn't be too surprised if there was nothing that could have been done there, just losing that 50 on the window. And now Hunter, this is Deli in chase at least. He's going to go die all the way at 5, eating as many rushes as possible, and that's exactly what he flares him, so he's not even going to end up on the floor. This gives us access to 4. We don't have a pallet yet, but we can send it to 3. We got to pray for there to be something in this tile. It is. It's a pallet gym. It's dropped. It's there. We have some safety. Mill has to play around the check spots. We've somehow not swung for that. Bravo will break the pallet. Mill will make it to the mid-map. There's once again no pallet in this tile. I'm not too sure we're going to make the window in time, but yeah. That'll be Mill on the ground, but main did pop. And once again, this is going to be Deli getting picked, Hunter. Our survivors, off of the back of a chase on 400 MS, have recovered their position yet again. They could definitely out this right here and right now.
I'm fearful. And as I say that, I look towards the distance. I see the last generator that I was looking for. It was 7 all along, and I just completely forgot to look every single time, even though we roamed over there and checked it so many times. I'm just so stupid. Anyway, we're going to be taking the break onto it as so speak, and we're going to be hiding around this vicinity to make sure that we do get it done once our killer does leave. All in the meantime, over top is being slammed out. So yeah, definitely, like you had said, still outable 110%. Granted that we don't make any mistakes or that we don't get found. I think Sultan has has to last here and make sure that, yeah, again, he's just evading every possibility, possible scenario of him being found now. Bravo's going to be checking the basement as well, and we're going to be wasting so much time considering the fact that, actually, no, we're not, because that's Deliverance in the back pocket as well. We completely forgot that's a perk, especially in a set like this. You know, we just saw Suffocation Pit 1, and we've seen Ghoul played on it so many times that you completely forget on an S tier set, you're allowed a perk like that. However, he's not going to be following up the chase there. He's just going to be taking the break onto this generator here over at the top half of the map, top mid. And once again, after 2 bumps there, kind of getting caught on the wall, we are just going to be making our way back over to 7, so everything's still kind of holdable for our killer. Mill has the last, you know, on 400 MS. What can he do? I mean, he might even fix his ping because it doesn't look that laggy. Did he fix his ping? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to be following up here towards the edge map once more, and that's going to be him just dying into the corner of 8. Not really much you can do here. Just playing the mind games. A Bravo playing it extra safe, but, you know, walking his ass over around the rock there is just going to spell the down, but is 4.4 took him a little bit to work with, and he has fixed his ping! He's no longer the 400 MS survivor, but you know what? He'll always be known as the 400 MS survivor because that man put on a performance of 400 MS. What the hell? How did we find Macro here? I didn't see him. How the hell did the Bravo see him? Is he just going for a flick around the rock and just managed to catch somebody out? I don't know. But after taking that break over towards mid again, Bravo straight back on the case over towards corner 7, where you can potentially catch out whoever was working this generator, which we know was Sultan. But where did Sultan go? He's just creeping away, tiptoeing in his Jordans. He's all the way over in the midst of Shaq. Now, what can he pull out of that? He has Sprint Burst to be working with. Does evade the tag for a little bit, but eventually gets caught up with it in the long run, and that's going to be Survivor taking that injure. Happy to traverse back into the middle of the map and take his ground once more, and press the Survivor off of the middle generator here, which we know is Macro, and Macro playing the aggressive game here is injured, has to be careful, goes down, and it's looking like 4K1 the more and more I look at it here, Chief. We knew there was a possibility for getting outs here, but after a rinse repeat scenario of constantly getting downs, I mean, Bravo has just played so well amongst his generators, amongst his hooks. Hang on, we took a hit with BT, so it's not over yet. Back on the floor goes Macro, so he's still in the game, in it to win it. Mill vaults the pallet over towards the central part of upper half of the map. Taking the break onto the generator. If we can manage to get Macro up and at them, Sultan this is, and evade just going down for a little bit, maybe there's a glimpse of hope.
There definitely is. I'm actually curious to find out, Hunter, if Macro will wiggle because of that hit. I'm not too sure if he's going to have crawled off to an ideal position. We see blood here as well. Where is that gone off to? I don't think Bravo knows. He's looking around, and it's definitely gone into Shaq. We just see it creeping into the... Oh, no, he's here at 6. There's Sultan. Found out the swing does not connect. We are unable to flick around that short little box filler, and that does give us access to Shaq yet again, but Bravo can't waste any time. Macro might still be on the ground. He finally got picked up, actually. Eating my words right there again. But I was going to say that Macro on the ground means Mill could be sitting this gen in the mid-map, of course. He's now been spotting out, trying to rotate forward as Macro is playing quite aggressively towards the top side, but problems now, as we do have potentially one of these survivors exiting the trial. They're both Deathhooks, they're both injured, they're both on the same filler, and that's a dead hard on 200 MS to keep them in the game. Macro doing everything to keep them alive, and my word, we do have Mill still stuck on the filler, actually having ventured back into the 4 lane, trying to get back on the gen, but they're going to head 2-3. Of course, his pallet was broken moments ago. We couldn't get into the tuck corner just fast enough, so that will be finally the 2v1 occurring, despite the fact Macro was on the ground a minute ago at this point. I'm not too sure if that gen at 7 has enough progress to pop. It was obviously just hit with Eruption, so I'd be very, very concerned. We didn't see any aura, so they did get off in time, and that does suggest to me that they might, not be able to pop it. Unfortunately, Sultan will not be able to pop that gen. He's now going to be in chase. Surely, Macro, send it, son. Oh my god, he's been flared again. Wait. No. Hunter. Checking the mid-gen, but if Macro has sent it for 7, he sent it for 7! Oh. Hunter, he has sent it for 7! We could be seeing out.
Come on.
Oh my god, wait. Committing. He kicked as well. Wait, he has turned back. No. Wait, he messed up the rush! Yes, again!
Macro, the G himself, going around the boxes and crates, trying to last. If he flared, that would have been the cherry on top. But it's a 4K0 as it currently stands. Where did Sultan go right about now? We see scratch marks leading in towards 4. It's looking pretty dire. We're checking around Shaq like we don't really know where he's gone. trying to evade our killer, checking the middle of the map, probably even going to check the gates at some point, but we see the blood. Oh no, it's going to be him on the floor, and it was looking so promising. Wow, they played to the absolute end and didn't make a set. Oh my. But in the end, that will be Sultan back on the hook. That will be Macro also on the hook for the 4K0 at tops. There's nothing else to be said and done here. So as long as we 4K all survivors in the next game before they get all remaining generators done, it's pretty much 1-all from there, and we'll go to the tiebreaker. However,
some of the scenes we just saw were unbelievable. I just saw Macro's Dead Hard again back on the stream, and my word, game-changing, game-saving stuff. And of course, that does mean for Flatline, we're going to need to see even better. They need to get any stages out the door to take this set and prevent us of our tiebreaker, which of course will be the Demogorgon on Cole Tower 1. Macmillan, yet again, but we do have a Blight set before we can end up there. Rune Undying Eruption is our preferred build this time around. I like the Rune and Undying and the amount of ping we're on if we were the other way around. I think L5D is really going to have another few sets of struggles with his micro. Just because of Blight being such a mechanical M2 killer, the rushes will feel very, very inconsistent on this high ping. And of course, he's on about 120 MS on the killer, so that swing comes out. That's brutal. That is an unbelievable hit onto Bravo, and unfortunately zoning him all the way to 11. Somehow L5D has V1'd on this amount of ping. That's very impressive. But yeah, that will, of course, lead to him breaking that pallet at 11. Bravo having to predict the movement of L5D because playing any vault is not safe, and unfortunately for him, he's just ended up on the ground all the way at 11. That's a very quick down to start us off, and of course, exactly what L5D needs right now, Hunter.
yeah, definitely. I mean, a quick chase right off the rip here. He's even looking for the stealthing deli player off in the corner, but I don't think he'll find anybody because I don't think they're in this area, but I could be sorely mistaken. A lot of crows around these rocks, and they haven't been disturbed, so it's probably within his best interest to go check the middle of the map once more. But again, still opting to choose to look through every single loop that's to him, and you know, all credit. I mean, it's definitely going to rule out as far as he goes, but honestly, probably should put the pressure over towards the middle of the map. There's not really too much going on in this section. You know, you're just kind of looking into thin air, really just trying to sniff out the deli, but I don't think that they are actually in that area. We know that it's typically Micah on the deli this time around, trying to bait out the pool here, trying to see if we can catch them out in a bad spot, but again, just playing extra defensive. Yeah, we were just around the rocks the whole time. So actually we were just looking at in the wrong part of Suffocation Pit 1. As L5D just stand around the hook here, he can just solidify that second stage and block both points of entry here. This is a mean looking backside hook here. And we had a similar scenario with Diamond Dogs where Ranger had a very egregious hook on the back half of main and was able to body block throughout the entirety of it and actually solidify a death because of it. So, you know, it's kind of reminding me of that scenario. However, L5D going to be trying to sniff out his next chase, and it is our Mr. Deli player Micah, who's just caught at the filler pallet here, has preemptively dropped the pallet on ping. Now he does get the unhook just in time, as we did use the rush tokens there, but this will be Deli pretty much in the trial at this point, as we do take the body blocks here. We are going to be trying to deny it though. Oh, we just missed the swing because we swung at the window as opposed to taking the safety bump because of the ping. That does tend to hurt just a little bit, but another nice V1 tech coming in, breaking the pallet here. He's been well versed on this ping, I dare say, after, you know, what, 5 days of him being notified. He has probably opted to play on Singapore and get accustomed to it. However, going for a little bit of an ambitious swing there, it's not going to be quite connecting. It's going to allow Zabravo to make the bottom of the map once more, and this will be pretty hard to play around. Does he go for the zone break? No, because obviously zone break doesn't exist anymore with the Blight, but it does, but you'll just be making Tekker's distance down to the middle of the map once more if you use a Bravo. However, that's going to be a nasty hit. Sniper get down kind of dealio. So that's going to be Zabravo out of the trial now. And it's all of a sudden looking very doable for L5D, especially in this particular instance. We do have Micah just resetting himself off in the corner somewhere. 2 survivors about 50% done on their generators. The split isn't too mean. We can hold on to the 4K1 for the victory of this set, going towards scouts in this instance. But we have yet to get there as L5D does traverse back to the top side of the map here. He is really trying to sniff out whoever's working this 11 gen, and it is going to be Saki, just forced off of it and into the guts of mid. However, he's just making so much distance to try and really get down, and honestly, I can see a V1 tech coming in imminently. Rushes do come back. No, we're trying to walk it down with finesse. We do get saved, and that's just mighty unfortunate. So we tried to play the M1 mind game there. Probably would have worked considering the fact that if we didn't have the nerf onto Blights, and he was not a 4.4 killer anymore, he was still 4.6, maybe we could have actually backed that tag up. But Halo running into the loving embrace of L5D is going to spell a very early tag. That's a nice rush. Look at that rush, the curve on it. Wow. And just bumping off of the short wall there to ultimately get Halo back on the floor here and hooked straight in front of his most progressed generator. The other one just being 11 itself. I don't know, honestly. I think the kill's still in a fantastic spot here, Chief.
Yeah, this has become really, really unfortunate for Flatline survivors. They kind of had Bravo exit the trial at a pretty early point, considering the win con they needed to achieve, and that does, of course, mean this quick unhook needs to see Halo last in chase. I was not expecting that at all. It caught me completely off guard. I've lost my train of thought on what I was going to talk about, because right now we're back into chase, the game right back on its heels, and actually, we've opted to play it slow yet again. L5D is going to head back to the top side of the map. We spotted out some scratch marks on this wall here. We do find out Micah. I believe this might be our Delhi survivor. We're going to... Never mind. Gonna say we're going to win that 50 on that swing, but what's it matter? The ping saves us that, and Micah cannot make it around in time. That's another 2-tap onto the floor for him. Hopefully, he's unbreakable that can see himself pick himself up off the ground, because right now, we're in such a precarious position. We do know that somebody is here at 7th gen is regressing, but would assume, yeah, it's going to be Halo here, having left pretty far away. We do have Unbreak, so we are able to potentially pick ourselves off the floor. I actually don't know if it's been used yet, Hunter. You might be able to correct me on that, but maybe Mike is just waiting to get picked, because right now, Saki sitting pretty on main, waiting to see where the killer is, trying to get as much gen progress in this situation as possible, because once again, 2 generators do still need to pop. Saki able to avoid that tag as he ventures towards the mid map. I'm not too sure if he has this filler on the top mid, but instead, pathing back to main. The window is not safe, so we won't opt to take it. That's going to be us towards the pallet. Beautiful pathing by Saki, and the vault comes on out. Life does not buy us any extra safety, and that'll be a tag over it. L5D now heading back to 3. Wants to make sure this gen isn't being worked under his nose. We see the progress is minimal. So back to top we go. We have a nice little 3-gen here, Hunter, which I hadn't spotted out just yet, but I assume L5D is going to be playing for it for the rest of the match. A 4K1 is more than enough.
Oh, yeah, and I was saying that top side pretty heavy amongst the generators here, and with everybody injured in the trial, and he backs up the thought that this will be 4K1 at the very least with 3 survivors left in the trial, especially with Halo just off in the edge map somewhere, just stealthing about. I'm not too sure what the plan of action is there, but he needs to be on a generator at some point. However, this chase by Saki is going on for fairly long, and we're going to be trying to get some flicks here on the side of L5D, not quite connecting. Saki read it a little bit too good, and is now ultimately ran towards the pallet again, around the rocks a couple times, and how do you like that? But we got our rushes back. Can we do anything with it? I don't think so. That's a nice double back vault coming in from Saki now, still choosing to use the pallet, and again, L5D just forever in search of that tag onto Saki, but there goes the firecracker. Does not do us a whole lot of justice, and this probably will result in at least one more generator done in the process over towards the bottom half of the map. We're going to get sluggy with it as well as we do click onto that fact, but we're really worried about this 3-gen as opposed to anything else. And yeah, there's the last generator that just popped in front of our face, and look at this. We have it down in the middle of all of the generators. We have no gen progress. We have 2 survivors on the map, to which they need to be healthy, so they need to reset. It's still looking heavily in favor of L5D. Now, the one saving grace is that Halo has made a very good rotation towards the top half of the map, more towards that bottom, behind that hill there over at 1. That means he can get a fast pull once L5D leaves the premises, which he will eventually, and he has done so, just more towards the central part of the map, and that allows, yeah, the unhook to be happening and for all 3 survivors to be left in the trial. The only trade-off is nobody got reset. you probably could have had a little bit more gen progress. You probably could have doubled that generator and got at least one survivor reset in the process if Halo wasn't stealthing about. But I don't know, all in hindsight, I guess, this was a pretty good pull regardless. However, he doesn't really have anything to be working with. He is just going to be going down before making any sort of shenanigan pallet. So he's probably just going to be hooked over into the corner of one again. It's just rinse, repeat from here on out. They're going for a little bit of a reset over towards the top portion of the map, but this is going to be very, very difficult for our survivors to pull back. Now, if they do manage to, pop all generators in this instance, it will be at least the tie condition to which we'll be going into the tiebreaker. Again, it is looking extremely likely that we'll be going into the tiebreaker regardless, because these survivors definitely still do need one more generator done in the process. And L5D going to be trying to get flicky with it over around the rock. Saki just got buying himself enough distance to make down into the middle of the map again once more. Do see scratch marks leading towards the unhook here, but we'll be catching that survivor off guard. And I do believe, yes, that is Micah with medkit in hand. We know he's the Delhi player, so we probably have to slug him, considering that fact. Halo going to be coming in for that endurance status effect here, and does so like clockwork. Now, does L5D follow up the tunnel out, or does he go towards more chasing Micah? And he's chasing Micah in this instance, and I do like this play, but does get caught on the lip of the wall there, and then unfortunately does not connect with the tag. It's going to be a break at the pallet, potentially no faking it even, and we still have our rushes to us as well. Getting the Bloodlust one and going to be swinging into a whole lot of thin air. That's a nice looking dodge there coming in from Saki, but I don't think he'll get it the second time around. Yeah, that's what the hell is that? But L5D happy to take that tag, go back towards main, press off any survivors working the generator over at main. Since there's nobody, he is happy to just go down to 3, because I do believe that Mr. Luca Boy Halo will be resetting off in the distance there with somebody else as to pose of doing anything like pressing generators. Yeah, there you go. They're just doubling the reset over at bottom. So it gives some leeway for Saki to make for a better chase here over towards the cabin over at main. So there goes the one bounce here, and it's safe to do so with the back bump even be so horrible towards us. But we have life to buy us some time, and unfortunately that just will always result in a tag regardless. Now the question is, did they just ditch the reset and go for the generator over at 3? Because I feel like they would have been reset by now. Actually, no, they 99'd it. So L5D happy to go back for the chase knowing that info. He knows they're not going to be sitting 3, and he's just content with actually trying to get this down onto Saki. But where did Saki go? He went behind the coal buckets, and we did not spot him out. We don't even hear him. We're checking in all the right places, but all the wrong places at the same time. So close to the coal buckets, and surely we pick up on the sound cue. Gamer headset, please aid us in this regard. No, we are more central towards everything, and hopefully catch a glimpse of him here now. No, we don't. Oh, because we're on the floor with the plot twist. How about that, Chief?
Yeah, he has dropped to the ground, made himself completely silent, so I don't think L5D was ever going to realistically be able to find him there. And now the scratch marks that we saw at 3 have kind of confused us a bit. We're checking out the edge map. Micah here all the way at 4 already. Does have this long rock to play around. He's not going to make it to the pallet in time, and unfortunately the flare does not prevent the tags. That will be Micah now in chase towards 5, but L5D knows that his gens are still topside. We cannot afford a long chase, especially on to Delhi. If we want this gen at main to be protected, 2 survivors are on the top side. Saki has picked himself up. He's now reset, and I'm sure Halo has rotated already to be near this gen. But Saki spotted out right on top of it. This is one of the only pallets remaining in the area, Hunter, so a very quick tag could spell our end, especially if it is an M1. But yeah, there's the M1. We do have a pallet connecting, though, at 10. I didn't know this was still in the game, but it is going to help Saki out. We do break it, though. So back to this one fillet we go, and I think we're going to have to play it for our life unless L5D opts to leave. Scared of 3 now, but concerningly, I don't think our survivors have rotated back up the map. Micah is probably still looking to get reset. We've actually sniped him. That's, well, hello there. Poor Adam Francis has turned into, yeah, wow, and we've also spotted out Halo, so that's wow, that's, man. Sometimes L5D knows, I guess. It's not Mo anymore. Don't see that guy around. It's L5D. L5D is informed.
My lord, there's no way. He messed up the bumps trying to get the person over inside the tile of 3, and he's just found Micah stealthing about. Oh, the dead coming in from the man himself, Halo. What can he do from here on out? Amazing dead hard, but can we work with it? Oh, we're almost we're body blocked him from the pallet, and he doesn't make the window, but he makes the lookup, forcing the grab. And that is going to slow the game down just a little bit more. No, please. Oh my god, hang on a second. He might actually just do main. And we've clicked onto that L5D going for the slug. Straight on the case over at main. Saw in the distance that we hopped off of it. And Saki will just be going down for the 4K1. And the win of this set going to Scouts. 1-all as it currently stands. Oh boy, and it goes down to the tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker is Demogorgon on the Cold Tower 1. Definitely way doable on ping as to oppose of these high octane sets like Ghoul and Blight. I don't know, Chief. It's getting good. This is getting good.
Micah has Deli. He's realized. Okay, L5G is going to take the hook onto Halo. We're not allowing any Deli shenanigans to occur in this endgame, just in case, you know, there was always the potential that he Delis, he does something, blah, 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 we see the win Flatline. Imagine seeing Cinema, that would have been cool, but no, L5G's caught on. That's going to be his tried and true 4K1. The Mori will be our only option now. We have to wait for Halo to die, unfortunately. So this is going to take a couple seconds. We're going to do some spins. L5G proud of his own work. A masterpiece of a result, considering it has saved their set. We will be heading to the tiebreaker, as Hunter said, Demogorgon on Coal Tower 1. So,
Oh, yes, and we are back with a tiebreaker. Just another extra 40 minutes to, you know, facilitate in the end of everything, or at tops 40 minutes. So we'll be ending pretty late for all you late night cretins at about 12 o'clock, or potentially even later. Who knows these days? I don't really want to jinx anything. However, it is going to be L5D. Oh, no, L5D this time. It's a different color. It's Sultan up for the job this time around, playing Le Demogorgon, but for your survivors, obviously, Saki, Micah, Bravo, and Halo being the 4 men chosen for the job. What can they pull out of the hat here on out? Now, going to be placing our portals like clockwork as per demo set. He is a setup killer, strangely enough, and I know he's not treated as such amongst various amounts of matches. However, you know, if you get them in nice and early, they can prove to be troublesome a little bit later on in the trial, but they're not revealed to your survivors until you teleport to them, so they can prove to be detrimental only when you don't know about them, because as soon as you do, they're going to be broken and they're just not that bad. Sorry?
they fixed that. So you know how it used to show the aura when you teleported to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bug.
No!
That wasn't intentional. Yeah, that wasn't intentional, so it doesn't do that anymore. They fixed it this last patch. Not this patch. Like, a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
So
you don't see
they've
the aura of it on the ground anymore.
They've nerfed Demogorgon. That's crazy.
No, they buffed demo.
Oh, they buffed Demo.
Survivors used to see the aura of the portals on the ground when you teleported to it. Doesn't do that anymore.
Okay, I got you. Okay, well, fair enough. Good to know, because that'll actually obviously aid us regardless. Sultan's going to be checking here around 4 area because, you know, why else would the generator be going off by just a little bit? However, we have spotted out, I do believe this is Mr. Luca Boy taking the chase potentially. Yeah, our Claudette, and is just going to be utilizing that pallet drop there and vaulting straight back into the middle of the map, getting hit through that pallet as well. That's an ugly looking tag, and all of a sudden Sultan on the front foot here does pull up charge once more and baits out the vault. That's going to be Halo down, and he really needed a better chase than that, young man, but honestly, going to be taking this hook here towards mid-6 now. What can Sultan do after doing this is going to be pretty grueling, I must say, as we do get the first pain resonance of the trial. That is just going to be the break of the pallet just sitting on the outside of Shack as well. And now we're going to really be utilizing those portals. We even had somebody working Shack once upon a time, but where did they go? It leads me to believe that it was once upon a time a Bravo, but he does manage to get the pull straight off the bat here. We're going for a very quick tunnel out back onto Halo, but really has to put on the Jets this time around for the chase. Going to be faking going through the window there and just forcing the pallet drop of Shaq. Now we have to be careful that we don't get hit through it, so he throws it at the correct time and all of a sudden has to use the corner 7 pallet fillers to be working with. Does also have the likes of the window if he chooses to greet it once more and actually win the 50, but with the shred coming in from there, Sultan following up after that does prep the shred up once more, but does not commit to it. However, does play around the Shaq window, and Halo just made all that kinds of distance around the wall a couple of times and then unzoned himself back into 7. So baking up for his chase just a little bit earlier on and almost getting shredded through there. So I got to be careful not to jinx him, but has to play around the 7 tile now and does drop it, and this is some nice RNG allocated towards us, but everything that is strong is going down pretty early on in the trial, and now Halo just going to be opting to die into the corner here over towards the lockers and just even forcing the locker pull, the locker grab rather, and that is going to be him on hook. As per build, it is pretty stock standard with the exception of bringing in batteries included. What batteries included does is gives you extra 5% haste around done generators within a certain vicinity of the map, of its radius, sorry. So going to aid us in those chases that get taken within 16 meters. It's going to aid us in those chases that get taken to the generators that have been done on the map. In particular, in this instance, probably around, I think it's like 3 in mid-map as well. That could potentially be problems here as we get 5% emerging from that portal there. We're almost able to spell the tag back onto Saki, but we're going to be following up the tunnel out onto Halo here. And if we can manage to get that just in time for a quick chase, it is going to be very problematic from our survivors. We're not too worried about the generators in the background being popped. We want Halo because we don't want to waste all of our time going for somebody else entirely, because that would just lead us to believe we have to play for stages. Now, Halo going to be dodging the T there, playing it very greed-like, but unfortunately not quite working out there as he's tried to dodge the shred and it has not worked out. That'll be him on the hook for a very quick tunnel out. 2 generators remaining on the Demogorgon set. This is looking like 4K1, potentially high stages and outs at the worst case scenario, especially with Micah on the floor after taking a body block there. It's turned on its head, this match definitely has. And I think we had a pain resonance over at 4, but we've opted to use the mid-6 one because it's a lot more centralized towards our 3-gen, which I don't actually hate this play, but it is more centralized to the middle of the map, to which we actually have an advantage having batteries included now and that generator being popped, as you would have seen a little bit ago when we tried shredding the Survivor over at 2. However, Sultan now happy to take his ground back into 11 and potentially look for his next chase here, Chief.
Yeah, what's going to be a little problematic is obviously our gens are now split. We have 2 gens remaining in the trial, and they're literally couldn't be further apart from each other. We have 5 and 7, the main 11, and obviously our teleports are going to help us out. We've just gone from 11 all the way to deep 6, so very nice traversal there. And for once, our survivors cannot see that, yeah, okay, he's teleported to 6 for the first time, and they don't even know where the portal is exactly. They can obviously see it on the ground, but can't see its aura anymore. But things we can't see the aura of as well. Bravo in this chase. We don't have anything to assist with that, but batteries not included is helping us nonetheless. At 5% haste on the top side of this tile is going to make the jungle that little bit less safe, but Bravo makes that vault on the inside of the window there. I believe that was quick and quiet to mask the sound for him, and yeah, unfortunately getting caught out at the check spot. The ping makes it a little bit unsafe. The shred connects, and that'll be Bravo's first tag. I'm sure he's stuck around the jungle gym, as it's probably the safest resource we have left on the map. We also have this connecting Godfiller at 9, but I'm not too sure if Bravo will make it around in time. The shred comes out, narrowly does not connect, and Bravo will be trying to make it back to this tile at 8. Once again, we can play around, but the shred may be able to get us down. We're going to win 150. The vault back, the triple vault, does mean we are safe and sound. We can make it to the inside of the jungle. The shred does not come out, and once again, to the pallet we go. Dropped, stunned, out of the way. Batteries fading in the background. Main having popped. That's 1 generator remaining in the trial. Bravo's chase there has done us a world of favors. We've reset the momentum entirely. What was looking like a 4K1 with the gens remaining and injury on the board. Micah on the hook is now looking like outs yet again, but Micah's unfortunately been spotted out. His blood bleeding all the way to 3. He's sending it now. He doesn't have any scratch marks, which is why I think Sultan was looking around so diligently, thinking he was just walking, trying to stealth, but no. Sending it with poised, I would assume, and to 11 now we must go. Bravo has been caught out, going to 10. Saki's still here on the gen. Unfortunately, cannot flare out and avoid that tag, but once again, has a God filler here that he can drop and play around quite safely. It's broken now, so to main we will go. The distance we gained from that drop is not a lot, and I'm not too sure if we'll make it to the red car. The shred won't connect. Instead, we'll head to the inside. The window might not be able to be made, so upstairs is our desired location. Unfortunately, tier 5 killer, no balance landing. Saki won't even make the drop, so even if he did have it, it was not safe, and that'll be him on the floor. Another pain res potentially, but I think they're all bottom. I don't know where our fourth one is, Hunter, but oh, it's all the way at 1. So yeah, we weren't making a pain res, unfortunately, from that situation, but this does mean that Micah can sit pretty on that gen at 6. The teleport will play to cut us off, but things are still in a pretty strong spot, unless... Oh no. Please don't tell me Mike is... No, okay. He's on the backside of Shaq. It's like, please don't tell me he's in Basement Hunter.
No, I don't think you would be allowing that to happen, but we are going to be taking the chase back onto Shaq here, where we do break the generator with Eruption in our back pocket. Maybe we can get it procced after getting a quick down onto Micah. He has been caught at the check spot here and has to play around the 5th corner, but ultimately does have a Z-Wall and a Dream. Now he has to win countless 50s for it to count. Wins a couple when we've actually got auto-aimed onto the corner of the Z-Wall there. Again, it's happened.
Again.
We need to be a little bit more patient. I understand this is ping, but I think even off ping, it's it's not like
Another one.
oh
Oh
my
my god,
jeez,
he makes
no,
it.
wait, hang on a second. Is actually ping being
They're
so
resetting.
dependent? Oh my. Well, that's kind of turned the game down a little, turned it all the way over on its head. And we really needed that down to actually happen a little bit earlier on in the trial here, as Micah does go down in the corner of 7. He is going to be hooked more towards Central 7. So getting a little bit antsy there. We are going to be slapping into thin air, Sultan that is, and we're going to be getting rid of the portal over at 11. So maybe we traverse through to the one over towards more Central 10 and just catch off the survivors over at 11. Or in the meantime, you can anticipate a rotation to the generator over at 5, but we need to get Micah off the hook if it is to account for anything. However, after spending all that time resetting, we have no pressure on the map to show for it. This will be the resulting in the tag for Saki. And it's allowed him to have a better chase, but in all honesty, it kind of undoes the work of the reset to have such a egregious tag and then followed up and down consecutively shortly after. My God. Sultan pretty happy and content to take this hook here onto Saki. I'm not too sure if he's been pain resed, but or is it Micah and Bravo? I can't really remember for the life of me, but we have the pain res over at 1 to kind of tell us the tale of pain res. Who is this survivor that we've been looking for? And it is. It was Saki all along. Our only last survivor being in contention for the pain resonance is the Bravo, as he's been the only fresh in the remainder of the trial. Micah, also another survivor. Who is Deathhook, might I add, alongside Saki. So if you find Micah in this instance, then he will just be slammed on top of that hook there and just out of the trial, and 4K1 will be looking ever so nice for our killer. Look at that, we've even spotted him out in corner 5. That's an ugly looking find as well. So Micah on the floor, up and at them on the killer's shoulders, and then just slap on the hook in front of 5. So we do manage to get Saki off of the hook as a Bravo, that is. He is fresh, so, you know, that's something that he can account for, especially going into the killer set. It is something that sets apart win conditions these days, and you have to be extremely careful if you're on the side of Sultan, if you're on the side of Scouts, because on the off chance that we do manage to escape with that fresh hooks, that's going to be troublesome later on. However, Sultan going to be traversing through the portal there straight onto the case of the generator, and now there's nobody just working 11, and the survivors are going to be playing that uber stealth game. All in the meantime, you can anticipate they'll be going for a reset at some point somewhere off in the distance in the map, but where do they reset? I don't know. What is the plan of action? Are they even resetting? We know our killer's going to be forever in search of the chase, but Mr. Streamer, can we get a quick pan around to what Bravo and Saki are currently doing? Yeah, there we go. Saki straight on that generator over at main, and Bravo working 11, so Sultan, if he keeps on looking to the central portion of the map and off in the distance where the generators aren't, he's going to find himself in a world full of hurt. He does check his generator over towards 7, but knows that somebody's here over towards the shack. Sees the scratch marks leading into a better chase location. Going to be taking the break onto the generator here and placing a portal. Don't tell me he goes through that and goes for 11. Surely you just commit onto Saki here, who is just rotated towards 3. Doesn't have anything after this job to fill a pallet here. And there goes the killer instinct, showing us that on 11 is the Bravo. So our killer knows it and cannot spend too much time in this chase. Needs to make it quick. And I know there's only 1 health state to spare, but it can prove to be really bad sometimes if you can't get your downs in. And now, oh, the shred goes up, but we got a little bit antsy and just baited out, I guess. That's going to be a nasty looking hit over the pallet there. All in the meantime, the Bravo is going to be just destroying that portal over at 11 and just giving up his location for our killer to just traverse and cover the ground before he can make any split rotation towards anything more favorable. And can we spot him out with the line of sight? We're going for the kick on the generator just to be uber sure, and not too sure where the Bravo had gone. Is he actually within this area? Is he behind the walls behind us, maybe? No, he's rotated off entirely and gone for the pickup onto Saki. Saki's actually really close to being brought up back in the trial, and I think we're just going to go for the quick tag onto Zabravo, who's just got nothing but the pallet and the dream over at 1. And the window, I guess he does have the window here, and I'm not too sure. I don't think the pallet's still left up. I think we broke it after we downed Saki over at 2. 1 being used now is going to be pre-dropped here, and just the zone break coming in. We are just forced to die into the corner with nothing to our disposal. Down goes the Bravo. You can anticipate Saki is back over towards the shack. Actually had this edge map filler, but these are horrible to be working with every now and again. So pain resonance as well to deny all the progress. And I might just say that we'll chop up the 4K1 here, Chief.
You'd imagine so, right? But look, we did just see the situation that most definitely was a 4K1. I can't believe Bravo cleansed that portal. That's still a bit peculiar to me, but Saki now the last man standing, Deathhook injured, could be caught out at any second, and of course that would spell an end to this trial, but right now, still on his feet somewhere on the map. Stream event, let's get that POV up real quick. I want to see what he's up to, because truly, could be anywhere at this point. Yeah, he's all the way at main. He's going to get the unhook. We've actually managed to reset back into the 2v1 yet again. But this time, Bravo obviously without that health state and one extra hook state on his card. So, look, I don't really know. At this point, I think there's not a lot of gen progress. In fact, I think all the gens might be 0 at this point. 2 survivors that are injured. One of them's death hook. The game is pretty much over. Ideally, you actually have Saki end up in chase, get hooked at 1. Bravo sitting on top of hatch and gets out. That's kind of, I think, the only way you can have it go. Bravo actually caught out yet again at 1. I don't know what that loud noise notification was, but I think the portal is still there. In fact, you can't even see it. That was a lovely crouch, though, to buy Saki some extra seconds in chase, and unfortunately, the send to the window does not pay off. That's us exiting the trial. Please, Bravo, tell me you're not still at 11. I need to see that man sending it towards 6. Let's get a flick around. He's 7. He's playing for a gate. He's playing for a gate, anticipating the teleport, I guess, from 11 all the way down, and Sultan's going to be able to do exactly that. I think Bravo would have made hatch. I genuinely think hatch was the play here. Hatch is about to be open. If Bravo was there, he got out.
Oh, you hate to see it. He played for exit gate thinking that, you know... Oh, I actually don't know. Anyway, Sultan, pretty happy to just check here over at 7, and now obviously Zabravo being injured is going to be making a lot of grunts of pain. And yeah, we've caught him like clockwork. Just yeah, if he hopped on the hatch there, it would have mattered as well. Oh my, yikes. Okay, so that is the 4K1 solidified with no penalty. It's going to be a 4K2 win condition, 4K0 win. 4K1 win condition. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of Scouts vs Flatline, the Demogorgon tiebreaker, where you've just seen a 4K1 from Scouts, and we are forever chasing the 4K2 for our killer Saki and the 4K0 for our survivors. Now, who is going to prevail through this instance? It really depends, because we actually don't know too much about Saki's kill. I do believe he's played Oni a fair few times, unless I'm getting sorely mistaken with somebody else on Flatline, but I do believe that, yeah, it is Saki alongside Burrito, just being coached by Burrito, who we've yet to see in the competitive scene again. But hey, Saki, the next person for the job on demo, and surprisingly, it's not Zabravo. We thought Zabravo in the intermission, but I am very surprised to get the young blood up and running in the tournament. Now let's see what Saki can do. As you see, scratch marks leading into main. He's not asked to be chasing whoever that is just around the strongest tile in the map. He wants somebody else more advantageous to him, and we see 2 survivors just holding hands over towards the section of 3, and that's just going to be them greeting everything down into 5. And the fact that 5 has an Orman filler already says that we got nice RNG, but we've been caught at the window. This will result in a tag underneath every single capacity known to the sun, and that's going to be a tag. Macro is going to be pre-dropping the Shack pallet, trying to make as much distance as humanly possible after just really giving up a free hit so early on. Does have no pallet to be working with over at 7, so he's just going to have to opt to die in the corner. So the RNG has not been favorable to us in that regard, at least over towards this deep 6, shallow 7 area. There's literally nothing we can be working with, and all of a sudden, Sultan and Mill on their generators ready to pop. Is that it? Yeah, they're tripling it. They're tripling the gen. I thought they were 3-splitting. No, but that is the triple.
Wow. I mean, yeah, they got one of the 4 generators, the 5 generators? It's 4K0 win con. 5 generators, 5. We can count here at OSL, everybody. 5 generators, 1 of 5 for their win. I think that was a really aggressive play because they had a 5 gen on the top side. Getting rid of one of those gens and just breaking up the split is very, very important. Less so on a Demogorgon set, but I think with the ping accounted for, getting rid of one of them is going to be pretty impactful. We see the gens are kind of 3-3 split now, although... Look at this hook here, Hunter. We have a pretty nasty 3-gen on the bottom side, even though... Oh my god, and we've caught out our savior right on top of... That was an incredible shred to spot out L5D, and now... Too early to take the trade. L5D will just have to play for his life. Unfortunately, this hill is not doing us any favors at all. We shred right on top of the hill, right on top of L5D. He makes 5. we get the stun. At least it's going to buy us some safety, but an augmented pallet is definitely not safe on ping. The shred cancelled. Unfortunately, L5D will make the window, and that does mean Saki unable to get the down just yet. He's going to try to look for it, still committing for this pain res, as Macro is unhooked in the background. He potentially can escape all the way to the top side of the map, get himself reset, but Mills Gen, Dwight, will be pain res now, and that does mean our second stage of the trial will finally use a pain res, and of course, it was hitting this gen here at... Oh no, actually it wasn't hitting this gen at 3, I don't think. I'm not too sure. I couldn't see it regressing just there, but Dwight did end up leaving it, and... Is it regressing? No, it's not regressing. The pain res did hit another gen 3, will be erupted now. Was it erupted? Did he miss that? I don't know if he got that, Hunter. I think that might have been a bit too early.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure, but
It was.
like yeah, no, it was. Anywho, we are going to be just protecting this hook here over towards 3 and just catching out the interception of the trade. It's going to be the tag onto L5D, the tunnel out rather, as opposed to just injuring the survivor Mill and following up the chase in a very aggressive manner. Is going to be Saki, who just gets blinded by that firecracker, just rotating off into the distance is L5D, where we pre-drop the pallet just on the out front of main. Again, just breaking that, and we're just going to be prepping the shred, maybe misjudging our distance a little bit, and we broke line of sight there to evade just being tagged once more, but there's nothing really to run on after here. L5D going behind the backside of main and going down ultimately. Sultan about 50% of the way done on his generator. Mill probably somewhere close as well, as we do get the hook here more towards 11. We have pushed off our survivor working this gen, which seems to be Sultan in that regard. So we're going to be breaking 11 here with Eruption to our disposal. We do also have the likes of Turn Back the Clock for another generator that's being worked off in the distance, and another couple stacks of pain resonance to be used. Granted, we find another chase after this and get quick downs, but easier said than done. Still a lot of work to do. It's looking pretty upright here for Saki, but again, anything can really happen. We saw the kind of game that last trial had, and it just pulled from absolutely an incredible result, but maybe we do something again this time around. As we do break the door to main, it is made it just that slightly more of a weaker loop. But in all honesty, we've broken the door that actually makes it a stronger loop for the survivors. So I wonder if they'll take advantage of that. Granted, that Zebravo does not break the door behind main right now, and he doesn't. He opts to greet it. That's turn back the clock value back onto 11. Doesn't even worry about chasing up there onto the survivor working it. He wants blood. He wants L5D being the tunnel out and injured. Now, where does L5D go from after breaking this pallet? Probably needs the body coming in from our survivor working 11, so hopefully he can last long enough for them to pop the gen at least. We are going to be taking precedence off the pallet there after breaking it. That's going to be the second generator of the trial procking in the distance there, so at least we can pull it back to the tie condition maybe. We are just going to be sacrificing our teammate, but hang on a second, he has a resource to be working with on the outskirts of main. It's going to be going down. 11 being really close to being done as well. Really needs this down here to get the eruption proc onto that generator over at 11. It does not matter. It falls out of Saki's reach, and he has left it entirely. He's gotten a little bit caught in the scratch marks and lost his tunnel out. L5D, who's roamed all the way down to 1. We're at the tie condition. 4 survivors left in the trial. Only 3 stages to show for it. It's looking pretty grim for Saki. He really needs to take control back of this match, and after a few good couple of seconds in chase from L5D, I think it's pretty much set. Scouts up to take away the set, take it home at the very least. That's a nice crouch tech coming in after the pallet drop over towards 3 as well, and does vault the pallet once more just around the long side again, and plays 2 and has opted to die into corner 1. The tunnel out himself making for an absolutely incredible chase, and has dodged it again and has dropped down the pallet over at 1, and in a couple of seconds this will mean that Scouts will be taking away the series at hand. 2-1 Chief.
Yeah, I mean, look, L5D has put on a show. He's kind of been the man of the night so far for Scouts. Put on an incredible performance on both of his killer sets. And of course, done absolutely incredible here to last in this chase. The man's playing on 200 ping, let's keep in mind. He's managed to basically win every single interaction he's needed. Even that stun coming out frame perfect. You heard the shred go through as he got stunned. 200 MS. And the man is performing to this level. This is 3 stages so far. L5D being left behind. We do see Mill getting body blocked by his friend. The shred does not connect. Macro is here. We unfortunately do not get the body block off, so potentially on the ground, but L5D trying to be the hero we didn't deserve yet again. He's gonna end up on the ground himself. So far, 5 stages on the floor. 6 left standing. 2 survivors. Actually, it's not even true. 5 left standing. Saki might be able to get more than 5 from this position. Macro is on the floor as well. Sultan, the last man standing now, will be exiting the trial. He's going to get shredded on his exit. And that's 9 stages, 3 fresh for Saki. Not enough to take the win, but still a pretty commanding result.
Oh, yeah. 9 stages in the end, well above the average, but they were just kind of allocated toward him. It's like, honestly, put on a silver platter, granted, the way these guys were playing in the end game, just kind of sandbagging each other. You know, having a little bit of fun as you do, you know, you've taken home the set. So all credit to them. They've had an amazing game today, and they should be very proud with the way that they have played, because right now they're fighting for second position. That's right. They are actually currently in tie with Diamond Dogs. So, you know, that matchup will be coming up next week as well, and that will really dictate who takes second, who takes third. And obviously both teams having made the finals now, the group there is kind of solidified. If I do actually pull up the standings here, I think it's only Flatline and Semi-Pro that miss out currently. Celestial still, do they have the win over Flatline? I do think that they do. Actually, if they just beat Semi-Pro next week, they'll be just going through as the 4th team. So because they've actually lost to Flatline, the tiebreaker point will take precedence there. So it does not really matter what kind of result they pull. That will be, yeah, the group pretty much done and dusted. I mean, the only thing that you have that's interchangeable is, yeah, Diamond Dogs or Scouts. That position is really up in the air to be taken by any team there. But you have to wait till next week for that one.